The alarm screamed through the monitoring station like nothing anyone had ever heard before. Valtharine's antennae twitched violently as he rushed from his rest chamber into the main observation deck. His 6 legs carried him faster than he had moved in years. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. The deck was chaos. Scientists from a dozen different species shouted over each other in their native languages. Holographic displays flickered with data that made no sense. Energy readings spiked across every screen, showing numbers that should have been impossible. "Commander!" A young Keprian named Zixtal waved 2 of her arms frantically. "You need to see this. All stations are reporting the same thing." Valtharine approached the central display, his compound eyes taking in the massive star map that filled the room. Red alerts blinked across 40,000 star systems. All of them. At the same time. "Explain," he said, his voice calm despite the fear creeping through his nervous system. A Morphean scientist, her blue skin flickering with stress patterns, pulled up a wave analysis. "Commander, 17 minutes ago, every deep space sensor in the Coalition detected an energy signature. It appeared simultaneously across all monitored space." "Simultaneously?" Valtharine's antennae straightened. "That violates causality. Light speed alone would mean, 'We know, sir.'" The Morphean's voice trembled. This wave ignored light speed. It ignored everything. It passed through dark matter like it wasn't there. It moved around gravitational fields as if they were suggestions, not laws. And it's still propagating, still growing stronger. Another scientist, a tall Venthari with crystalline skin, added his report. "We've checked every database. This energy signature matches nothing in our records. It's not hyperspace radiation. It's not quantum decay. It's not any known form of energy we've cataloged in 10,000 years of spacefaring civilization." Valtharine moved closer to the display. The wave pattern looked almost organic. It pulsed, it breathed. "Characteristics?" "That's the disturbing part," Zixtal said, manipulating the hologram. "The wave appears to carry information, not digital data, something else. Some of our psychic-sensitive species are reporting feelings, emotions that aren't their own." The room fell silent. Every eye, lens, and sensory organ turned toward the commander. "What kind of emotions?" Valtharine asked quietly. A small Kutar, a species known for their empathic abilities, stepped forward. She looked exhausted. "Joy, Commander. Hope. Reflection. Unity. And underneath it all, a sense of belonging. It's beautiful and terrifying at the same time. These feelings don't feel alien. They feel fundamental, like they're coming from something very old or very powerful." Valtharine's mind raced through possibilities. A weapon test? A natural phenomenon? Some kind of dimensional breach? Have we triangulated the source? "Yes, sir." The Morphean scientist pulled up a new display. The galactic map zoomed in, focusing on a spiral arm on the outer edge of Coalition space. The Orion Arm, Sol system. 3rd planet. The commander felt his blood run cold. "Earth?" "Confirmed. The epicenter of the energy wave is Earth. Margin of error is less than 0.001%. Murmurs spread through the observation deck. Earth. The little blue world that the Coalition had been quietly monitoring for the past 100 years. The planet was under First Contact Protocol, a pre-faster-than-light civilization that wasn't supposed to know about the rest of the galaxy yet. "Pull up everything we have on Earth," Valtharine ordered. Data flooded the screens. Earth was classified as a Class C developing world. Its dominant species, humans, had barely left their own moon. They had split the atom, developed basic spaceflight, and created a complex global communication network. But they were still decades away from faster-than-light travel. By all accounts, they were a normal, unremarkable species. Except now they were generating an energy signature that was shaking the entire galaxy. "Analysis," Valtharine demanded. Could this be a weapon? The scientists looked at each other. Finally, the Venthari spoke. "Unknown, Commander. If it is a weapon, it's beyond anything in our understanding. But the emotional component suggests otherwise. Weapons are designed to harm, to destroy. This feels like celebration." "Celebration," Valtharine repeated flatly. "I know how it sounds, sir. But that's what our empaths are reporting. The humans are celebrating something." Another alarm shrieked across the deck. The wave intensity was increasing. On the screens, the energy readings doubled, then tripled. "It's pulsing again," Zixtal reported. "The wave is getting stronger with each pulse. At this rate, It will be detectable by civilian sensors within 3 standard days. We won't be able to keep this quiet. Valthrine made his decision. Send a Priority 1 message to Coalition High Command. Tell them we have a potential first contact situation of unknown danger level. Request immediate permission to dispatch an investigation fleet to Sol system. Sir, the High Command is already calling for you, a communications officer announced. They've detected the same phenomenon from their end. The entire council wants answers. Within the hour, Valthrine found himself in a holographic conference with the Coalition's highest leaders. Representatives from 20 major species filled the virtual chamber, each showing various degrees of alarm. The council speaker, an ancient Drevnari named Sulmak, addressed the assembly. We are facing an unprecedented situation. Every world in Coalition space has detected this anomaly. Panic is beginning to spread. Some of our member species are claiming this is the end of days. We need information, Commander Valthrine. What are we dealing with? Valthrine projected the data for all to see. The source is confirmed as Earth, a pre-contact world in the Orion Arm. The energy signature is unknown but appears to carry emotional or psychic components. The humans appear to be generating this phenomenon, though we have no indication they're aware of it. Humans? A Drakthon general named Corvex leaned forward, his reptilian features twisted in suspicion. The hairless primates? Impossible. Our survey showed them as barely sentient. No psychic abilities. No special characteristics beyond basic tool use. That was our assessment as well, Valthrine admitted. We may have been wrong. A slender Eris delegate raised a translucent hand. Could they have been hiding their true nature? Deliberately appearing primitive while developing weapons? We've had passive observation posts monitoring Earth for a century, Valthrine said. Nothing suggests deception. They've fought wars among themselves, destroyed portions of their own environment, and struggled with basic social organization. They behave exactly like a young, developing species. Then how do you explain this? Sulmak gestured at the wave data. This kind of power output would require technology thousands of years beyond what they possess. I can't explain it, Valthrine admitted. That's why I'm requesting permission to lead an investigation fleet to Earth. We need to observe them directly. Understand what's happening before we make any decisions. The chamber erupted in debate. Some argued for immediate military intervention. Others suggested waiting and observing. A few radical voices even called for Earth's destruction before the humans could weaponize whatever power they possessed. Finally, Sulmak raised his staff for silence. Commander Valthrine, you have your authorization. Take a science vessel and appropriate military escort. Observe the humans. Determine the nature of this phenomenon. But under no circumstances are you to make contact unless absolutely necessary. We must understand what we're dealing with before revealing ourselves. Is that clear? Perfectly clear, Council Speaker. One more thing, Commander. Sulmak's ancient eyes held a warning. If you determine that Earth poses an existential threat to the Coalition, you have authorization to contain that threat by any means necessary, including sterilization protocols. The weight of those words hung in the air. The power to destroy an entire civilization, an entire species. Valthrine felt the burden settle onto his shoulders. Understood, sir. The conference ended. Valthrine had 6 hours to assemble his fleet and crew before departure. He selected his best scientists, veterans who could remain calm under pressure. The military escort consisted of 3 warships, enough to defend against threats but not so many as to appear aggressive if somehow detected. As his ship, the Infinite Seeker prepared for departure. Valthrine stood in his quarters looking at Earth's image on his personal display. It was a beautiful world. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. It looked peaceful, harmless. But somewhere on that small planet, 7 billion humans were doing something that was shaking the foundations of reality itself. Zixtal's voice came through his communicator. Commander, we're ready for departure. Hyperspace jump in 10 minutes. Acknowledged. I'm on my way to the bridge. Valthrine took one last look at Earth. In his long career, he had made first contact with 6 different species. It was always a momentous occasion, handled with careful preparation and protocols. But this was different. This wasn't a planned meeting between civilizations. This was an investigation into something that terrified the most powerful alliance in the galaxy. He reached the bridge as the countdown began. His crew worked efficiently, at their stations, hiding their nervousness behind professional competence. The hyperspace drive hummed to life, building energy for the jump. "All systems ready, Commander," his navigator reported. "Course laid in for Sol system, outer orbit," the helmsman added. "We'll emerge near their gas giant, Jupiter," Zixtal explained. "Far enough from Earth to avoid detection, close enough for detailed scans." "Execute jump," Valthrine ordered. Reality twisted. The Infinite Seeker and its escort vessels slipped into hyperspace, leaving orbital platform Zeta 9 behind. The journey would take 3 days at maximum speed. 3 days to prepare for whatever they would find. 3 days before everything changed. As the ship traveled through the unreality of hyperspace, Valthrine reviewed everything known about humans. They were bipedal. They had 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs. They reproduced sexually and raised their young in family units. They had developed complex languages, created art, and built civilizations. Nothing special. Nothing that would suggest they could bend the fabric of space itself. But the data didn't lie. The wave was real, and it was growing stronger. On the second day of travel, the empathic crew members reported something new. The emotional content of the wave was shifting. What had felt like joy and celebration now carried undertones of something else. Anticipation. A sense of waiting. Building toward something. "What are they doing down there?" Valthrine wondered aloud. Nobody had an answer. On the third day, as the fleet prepared to drop out of hyperspace, the wave pulsed again. This time, it was strong enough that even non-psychic species felt it. A sense of collective breath being held. Billions of minds focused on a single moment in time. The Infinite Seeker emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter, its cloaking systems immediately engaging. The gas giant loomed before them, massive and beautiful. And there, just a few 100 million kilometers away, was Earth. "Begin scans," Valthrine ordered. "I want to know everything. What are the humans doing right now?" The science team worked frantically. Data poured in from every sensor, visual feeds, electromagnetic radiation, thermal imaging, gravitational measurements. And then they saw it. All across Earth, humans were gathering, in cities and towns, in homes and public spaces. They were watching screens, holding hands, counting down together. The planet's communication networks blazed with activity as billions of humans synchronized their actions to a single moment. "What is this?" Valthrine demanded. A human cultural specialist, an AI subroutine programmed with human knowledge, provided the answer. "They are celebrating what they call New Year's Eve, my commander. A arbitrary but significant moment when their calendar year changes. It's a time of reflection, celebration, and hope for the future. At midnight, in each time zone, humans celebrate together." "Celebrate?" Valthrine repeated. "This entire crisis is because they're having a party?" "It appears so, sir." As midnight approached in the first time zone, sensors detected an enormous surge in the wave. The humans counted down together. 10, 9, 8. Their collective anticipation built with each number. 3, 2, 1. The moment the new year began, the wave exploded outward with such force that the Infinite Seeker rocked in space despite being millions of kilometers away. Every alarm on the ship screamed at once, and in that moment every sensitive being on the ship felt it. Pure, undiluted human emotion, joy at survival, hope for tomorrow, gratitude for life, determination to do better, love for those around them. All of it amplified by billions of minds thinking and feeling in unison. It was the most beautiful and terrifying thing Valthrine had ever experienced. "By the ancestors," Zixtal whispered. "What are they?" The Infinite Seeker stabilized after several tense minutes. Emergency systems had automatically engaged when the wave hit, protecting the sensitive equipment from overload. Around the bridge, crew members slowly recovered from the emotional shock. Some were crying. Others sat in stunned silence. A few looked almost peaceful, as if they had experienced something sacred. Valthrine forced himself to focus. His training as a commander pushed through the lingering echoes of human emotion that still resonated in his mind. Damage report. Minor systems only, sir, the engineering officer replied, her voice shaky. The cloaking field held. No structural damage, but our psychic dampeners completely failed. Whatever that was, it bypassed every protection we had. Did they detect us? Valthrine asked urgently. The sensor operator checked his screens. No, Commander. Earth's detection systems show no change. They have no idea we're here. They're still celebrating. On the main view screen, Earth continued its rotation. City lights sparkled across the dark side of the planet. Fireworks exploded over major population centers. Humans danced in streets, embraced each other, sang songs. They looked so normal, so innocent. They had no idea what they had just done. Analysis, Valthrine ordered. What exactly happened? The science team worked through their data. Zixtal coordinated the effort, her multiple hands dancing across holographic controls. After 30 minutes, she presented her findings. Commander, we've confirmed something extraordinary. The energy wave originates from human consciousness itself, specifically from their emotional states. When billions of humans experienced the same emotions at the same moment, they generated a psychic field strong enough to ripple across dimensional barriers. But humans aren't psychic, a Drakthon officer objected. We tested them. They show no individual psychic ability whatsoever. Individually they don't, Zixtal agreed. But collectively they're the most powerful psychic species we've ever encountered. It's like comparing a single drop of water to an ocean. Each drop is insignificant, but together they can move mountains. The Venthari crystalline scientist added his observations. I've been reviewing Earth's history from our archives. There are other unexplained phenomena, minor spatial anomalies that occurred during what humans call historical moments. When they first landed on their moon, sensors detected a brief quantum fluctuation. When certain wars ended, when disasters united them, similar smaller events occurred. We dismissed them as measurement errors. We were wrong. Valthrine felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. How is this possible? What makes humans different? That's what we need to understand, Zixtal said. I propose we conduct detailed scans of human brain activity, social structures, and evolutionary history. If we can understand how they developed this ability, we might predict what they're capable of. Approved. But maintain stealth protocols. We observe only. For the next 2 days, the fleet hid behind Earth's moon, conducting the most thorough study of humanity ever attempted. Scientists worked around the clock, analyzing everything from human DNA to their social media communications. Slowly, a picture emerged that both fascinated and terrified the coalition observers. Humans were unique in the galaxy, not because they were smarter or stronger than other species, but because of how they had evolved. Their planet had been unusually harsh. Ice ages came and went with brutal regularity. Predators had hunted them. Diseases had decimated their populations. They should have gone extinct a dozen times over. But humans had survived through 2 key adaptations. First, they were persistence hunters. They could chase prey for days without stopping, wearing down faster but less enduring animals through sheer determination. This gave them an individual willpower that bordered on insanity. They simply refused to quit no matter the odds. Second, they were intensely social. Human babies were born helpless and took years to mature, forcing humans to form tight family bonds. They developed language, cooperation, and empathy. They felt each other's pain and joy. They sacrificed for strangers. This made them capable of organizing into groups far larger than any other species at their development level. They're a paradox, the cultural specialist AI explained to Valthrine. They're individuals who refuse to give up. But they're also pack animals who define themselves by their connections to others. Alone, a human is formidable. Together, they're exponentially more powerful. And emotionally? Valthrine asked. That's where it gets interesting, Commander. Humans feel emotions with an intensity we've rarely encountered. They cry over fictional stories. They rage at injustice decades old. They fall in love so deeply they'll die for each other. And they experience all of this with no natural dampening mechanisms. Most species evolved emotional regulation. Humans didn't. They feel everything all the time at maximum intensity. Zixtal brought up comparative brain scans. Look at this, Commander. A human's emotional centers are disproportionately large compared to other species. They're mirror neurons, The parts that let them feel what others feel are incredibly active. When a human sees another human in pain, their brain literally experiences an echo of that pain. They can't help but empathize. That sounds like a disability, a Drakthon officer commented. How do they function? With difficulty, the AI admitted. Human history is full of emotional extremes. Great art and terrible wars. Acts of incredible kindness and horrific cruelty. They're constantly struggling between their individual desires and their social bonds, between their reason and their feelings. But that struggle, that tension, seems to be what makes them powerful. Valthrine studied the data carefully. So when they celebrate together, when they feel hope together, their emotions become a weapon, the Drakthon officer finished. Whether they know it or not, or a gift. The Qatar empath said softly. What I felt during their celebration wasn't aggression. It was pure joy, hope, love. When was the last time any of us felt something that intensely? The bridge fell silent. Most coalition species had evolved past strong emotions. Logic ruled their civilizations. Decisions were made by calculation, not feeling. It was efficient, stable, safe. But watching the humans, Valthrine realized something. The humans weren't safe. They were passionate, chaotic, unpredictable, and maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what made them special. The peaceful observation period ended abruptly on the third day. Alarms blared as sensors detected a massive natural disaster on Earth. A tectonic plate had shifted, triggering what humans called an earthquake. It struck a densely populated coastal region. Buildings collapsed. Fires erupted. Thousands of humans died in moments, and tens of thousands more were injured or trapped. The planetary communication networks exploded with activity. Humans watching the tragedy unfold on their screens. Rescue workers rushing to help. Families desperate for news of loved ones. The entire planet focusing on this single catastrophe. And then the wave began again. But this time it was different. The emotional signature wasn't joy or hope. It was grief, rage at the unfairness, fear for those suffering, desperation to help. Billions of humans experiencing collective anguish for people most of them had never met. In a country many had never visited, the wave built with horrifying speed. The empaths on the Infinite Seeker collapsed, overwhelmed by the intensity. Regular crew members clutched their heads, feeling echoes of emotions that weren't theirs. Commander, the wave is reaching critical levels. Zixtal shouted over the alarm. It's going to be stronger than the New Year pulse. All hands, brace for impact, Valthrine ordered. The wave hit like a tsunami. The Infinite Seeker was thrown from its hiding spot behind the moon, tumbling through space. The cloaking systems failed. Shields flickered. The Drakthon escort ships fared worse. Their more aggressive emotional dampeners overloaded completely, leaving their crews unconscious. When Valthrine regained his senses, he saw chaos on every screen. The fleet was exposed, their cloaking was down, and Earth's detection systems were now tracking them. Sir, we're being scanned, the sensor operator reported. Earth's military installations have detected us. They're attempting to identify us. Attempted evasive maneuvers failed, the helmsman added. The wave damaged our maneuvering thrusters. We're drifting toward the moon on collision course. Valthrine made a split-second decision. Emergency broadcast on all Earth frequencies. Standard first contact protocols. Tell them we mean no harm and request assistance. Sir, the Council ordered no contact unless absolutely necessary. An officer protested. Would you prefer we crash into their moon and start an interplanetary incident? Valthrine snapped. Send the message. The communication went out in every human language the AI could translate. Within minutes, responses flooded in. Human military forces went on high alert. Their primitive defense systems armed themselves with nuclear weapons, crude but deadly. Scientists frantically analyzed the alien ships. News networks interrupted regular programming with breathless reports of alien contact. But then something unexpected happened. Mixed in with the fear and aggression, humans began responding with curiosity, with excitement, with offers of help. Commander, we're receiving a transmission from something called the International Space Station, the communications officer reported. They're offering to provide navigational assistance. And something called NASA is offering to send a repair shuttle if we need it. Valthrine's antennae twitched in surprise. They're offering to help? After we infiltrated their system? Apparently, sir. Though other human factions are threatening to shoot us down if we don't leave immediately, they're contradictory. That's humans for you, the cultural AI said. They're never unified. Some will greet you with weapons, others with open arms, often both from the same person. A new message arrived. This one was more official, from a coalition of Earth governments. They requested direct communication, a video link, face-to-face. What do we do, Commander? Zixtal asked. Valthrine looked at Earth on the view screen, the planet that had accidentally created the most powerful phenomenon the galaxy had ever seen. The species that felt so deeply they could bend reality itself. The humans who were simultaneously threatening to destroy his ships and offering to repair them. We talk, he decided. Open the channel. The screen flickered to life. On it appeared a human female and a human male. The female was older, with dark skin and graying hair. She wore formal attire and had the bearing of a leader. The male was younger, wore a military uniform and watched the camera with cautious eyes. This is Secretary General Amara Okoye of the United Nations, the female said, her voice remarkably calm for someone making first contact with aliens. And General Marcus Wade of the International Defense Coalition. You are in Earth's vicinity without authorization. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. Valthrine stepped forward, making sure his form was visible on the camera. He knew humans found insects disturbing, but there was no help for it. I am Commander Valthrine of the Galactic Coalition vessel Infinite Seeker. On behalf of the Coalition, I apologize for our unauthorized presence. We came to investigate an energy phenomenon originating from your planet. We did not intend to reveal ourselves. The humans looked at each other. Energy phenomenon? General Wade asked. Yes. Your planet has been generating waves of energy that have been detected across 40,000 star systems. These waves appear to be connected to your collective emotional states. We came to understand what was happening. Secretary General Okoye's expression shifted from cautious to confused. Our emotions? I don't understand. Neither do we, Valthrine admitted. Not fully, but when your people celebrate together or grieve together, you generate a psychic field powerful enough to shake the foundations of reality. You've been doing it for years, but it's getting stronger. The recent earthquake tragedy created a wave powerful enough to disable our ships. The two humans stared at him in stunned silence. Finally, Wade spoke. You're telling us that when we feel things, we're affecting other star systems? In simple terms, yes. Okoye leaned forward. Commander Valthrine, I think we need to talk. Really talk? Your ships are damaged. We have resources that might help. And it seems both of our species have a lot to learn about each other. I agree. But I must warn you, Secretary General. Not all coalition species will react well to this news. Some will see humanity as a threat. There may be those who advocate for your elimination before you become more powerful. The humans tensed. Wade's hand moved toward something off-screen, probably a weapon, but Okoye held up her hand. Then we definitely need to talk. Commander, I'm authorizing Earth's approach vectors for your ships. We'll send technical teams to assist with repairs. In the meantime, I'm calling an emergency session of world leaders. Would you be willing to address them? To explain what's happening? Valthrine felt the weight of history on his shoulders. This was first contact, the moment that would define human-alien relations for centuries to come, and it was happening in the worst possible way. But he looked at Okoye's face and saw determination. Hope even in the face of potential destruction. Very human. I would be honored, he said. As the communication ended and Earth began preparing for official first contact, Valthrine noticed something on his sensors. The emotional wave from the disaster was fading, but it was being replaced by something new, something he hadn't expected. Excitement, wonder. The collective realization that humanity wasn't alone in the universe. 7 billion humans all feeling the same thing at once. Here we go again, Zixtal muttered. The wave began to build. The emergency session of world leaders took place 48 hours after first contact. In that time, humanity had done what it always did when faced with the impossible. It adapted with chaotic efficiency. Religious leaders declared it divine intervention. Scientists worked overtime analyzing every piece of data. Conspiracy theorists claimed they knew about aliens all along. And regular people went to work, raised their children, and tried to process the fact that the universe was suddenly much larger than they had imagined. Valthrine stood in a specially prepared chamber at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Around him, holographic projections showed hundreds of human leaders from every nation on Earth. Some looked excited, others terrified. Many seemed angry that their world had been observed without their knowledge. Secretary General Okoye introduced him formally. Leaders of Earth, I present Commander Valthrine of the Galactic Coalition. He has agreed to explain the situation we face. Valthrine stepped forward, very aware that billions of humans were watching this broadcast. He could feel their collective attention like a physical weight. Thank you, Secretary General. I will speak plainly. Your species has developed an ability that we in the Coalition have never encountered. When you feel strong emotions together, you create waves of energy that affect reality itself. This power has grown stronger as your population and communication technology have advanced. A human leader from what the translator identified as China raised his hand. Why didn't you contact us before? If you've been watching us for 100 years, why hide? The Coalition has strict protocols for pre-contact civilizations, Valthrine explained. We've learned that premature contact can destroy developing cultures. We wait until a species develops faster than light travel, proving they're ready for the wider galaxy. But your situation is unprecedented. We had to act. Because we're dangerous, a leader from Russia stated flatly. Because you're powerful, Valthrine corrected. And power without understanding is dangerous to everyone, including yourselves. Dr. Sarah Chen, a neuroscientist who had been invited to the session, spoke up. Commander, I've been studying your data. I think I understand what's happening. May I explain to my fellow humans? Please do. Dr. Chen activated her own presentation, showing human brain scans and evolutionary timelines. What makes us different is how we evolved. Earth has been unusually harsh. We survived ice ages, predators, diseases, and each other through two key traits. First, determination. Human persistence hunting meant we could outlast anything. We evolved brains that simply refused to quit. Second, empathy. We're social animals who feel what others feel. When you see someone smile, your brain mirrors that smile. When you see someone suffer, you feel their pain. She pulled up comparative data. Other species evolved emotional regulation. They learned to control, suppress, or eliminate strong feelings for logical thinking. Humans didn't. We feel everything at maximum intensity. Love, hate, joy, grief, all of it at full volume all the time. Our emotional centers are disproportionately large for our brain size. But how does that create energy waves? A European leader asked. That's the part I'm still working on, Dr. Chen admitted. But I have a theory. Consciousness affects reality at the quantum level. That's established physics. What if human consciousness, amplified by billions of minds feeling the same thing, creates a resonance effect, like individual ripples combining into a tsunami? We're not psychic as individuals, but collectively, we're the loudest emotional voice in the galaxy. General Wade, sitting beside Okoye, leaned forward. Commander, you said some coalition species might see us as a threat. What's the worst-case scenario? Valthrine appreciated the human's directness. Some species may advocate for your quarantine or elimination. The Drakthon, in particular, are militant and view unknown powers as threats to be neutralized. I cannot guarantee your safety. The chamber erupted in multiple languages. Anger, fear, and defiance rippled through the assembled leaders. And Valthrine felt it. The emotional wave beginning to build again. Billions of humans listening to this broadcast starting to feel the same emotions. Please, he said urgently. You must understand, when you all feel strongly about something, reality responds. Right now, your fear and anger are creating a wave. My empathic crew members are already experiencing it. Dr. Chen looked alarmed. Are you saying we need to suppress our emotions? That's not really something humans can do. No, I'm saying you need to understand what you're capable of. Knowledge without understanding led to the atomic bomb. Understanding without wisdom could make you even more dangerous to yourselves. Okoye stood, commanding attention. Then we need wisdom. Commander, we request that you help us understand this power. In exchange, we'll share everything we know about human psychology, culture, and capability. Mutual understanding serves us both. Before Valthrine could respond, alarms blared throughout the building. His communicator lit up with urgent messages from the Infinite Seeker. Commander, we're detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. Sixtal's voice was panicked. 12 vessels just dropped out of FTL in Earth's vicinity. They're not responding to Coalition protocols, identifying they're Drakthon raiders. They're breaking formation and heading for Earth. Valthrine's blood ran cold. This is a Priority 1 emergency, he announced to the gathered humans. A hostile fleet is approaching your planet. They're here to eliminate what they perceive as a threat. The chamber erupted in chaos. General Wade was already shouting orders into his communicator. Military forces around the world went on high alert. Human defense systems, primitive as they were, prepared to engage an enemy they had no hope of defeating. How long do we have? Okoye demanded, her voice cutting through the panic. Minutes, Valthrine said. Perhaps less. The Drakthon don't negotiate. They act first and justify later. They must have monitored coalition communications and decided to take matters into their own claws. On the view screens, the approaching ships became visible. They were large, angular, covered in weapons. Designed for war, Earth's satellites tracked them as they entered the planet's orbit, ignoring the coalition escort vessels' attempts to intercept. Humanity's defense systems are no match for this technology, General Wade said, his voice tight. We have nuclear weapons, but we can't deliver them fast enough. They'll annihilate our cities before we can respond. Dr. Chen was staring at her datapad, her mind racing. Commander, what happens if 7 billion humans experience the same emotion at exactly the same time? Valthrine understood immediately. I don't know. We've never measured anything that strong. Then maybe it's time to find out, she said. She turned to Okoye. Madam Secretary, we need to broadcast to the entire planet. Everyone needs to hear this now. Okoye didn't hesitate. Do it. Within seconds, Dr. Chen's face was on every screen on Earth. Television, internet, phones, public displays. Every device humanity had invented suddenly showed the same thing. 7 billion people stopped what they were doing and listened. People of Earth, Dr. Chen began, her voice steady despite the terror of the moment. We are under attack by an alien force that wants to destroy us. Our weapons can't stop them. Our military can't protect us. But we have something they don't. We have each other. She paused, letting that sink in. Commander Valthrine has shown us that when we feel together, when we share the same emotions, we create power. Real power. Power enough to shake the galaxy. Right now, I need everyone to do something difficult. I need you to feel. Not fear, not hate, but something stronger. Think about everyone you love. Your family, your friends, the stranger who smiled at you. The person who helped when you needed it. Think about what makes humanity beautiful. Our art, our music, our stories, our ability to hope even in darkness, our refusal to give up, our determination to protect each other. Above Earth, the Drakthon ships began their attack run. Weapons charged. Targeting systems locked onto major population centers. I'm a scientist, Dr. Chen continued, tears streaming down her face. I deal in facts and data. But right now, I'm asking you to believe in something that sounds impossible. I'm asking you to believe that love is stronger than weapons, that hope can bend reality, that 7 billion humans caring about each other can create a miracle. Around the world, something extraordinary happened. In homes and streets, in shelters and offices, billions of humans stopped being afraid. They thought about what Dr. Chen had said. They thought about the people they loved, the planet they shared, the future they wanted for their children, and they felt it. All of them, together. The wave began as a ripple, then a pulse, then a tsunami of pure human emotion that dwarfed everything that had come before. Not fear or anger, but something more fundamental. The desperate, defiant love of a species that refused to die. The hope of people who had survived ice ages and world wars and plagues and had kept going, kept trying, kept caring. Valthrine watched in awe as the wave erupted from Earth. It was visible now, a shimmer in space itself, like reality was bending around the planet. The wave expanded outward at impossible speed, washing over the Drakthon ships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ships simply stopped. Their weapons powered down, their engines cut out. They hung in space, motionless. What's happening? General Wade demanded. Valthrine was checking his instruments, hardly believing what he saw. The wave. It's not destroying them. It's showing them. Every Drakthon on those ships is experiencing human emotions directly, feeling what 7 billion humans feel. The love, the hope, the connection. Inside the Drakthon ships, hardened warriors experienced something they had trained their entire lives to suppress. Emotion. But not just any emotion. Human emotion. The pure, undiluted feeling of a species that loved with their whole being. They felt a mother's love for her child. a friend's loyalty, a stranger's kindness, the desperate hope of people facing extinction who chose love over hate. It was overwhelming, beautiful, terrible. It cracked through their conditioning like light through darkness. One by one, the Drakthon ships powered down their weapons. Their commanders, tears streaming down their reptilian faces, broadcast surrender signals. They couldn't fight anymore. Not after feeling what they had felt. Not after understanding what humanity was. On Earth, the wave gradually subsided. 7 billion humans slowly came back to themselves, exhausted but alive. They had no idea what they had done. Most didn't even understand that they had done anything. They just knew they had felt something powerful, and they were still here. In the UN chamber, the assembled leaders sat in stunned silence. Finally, Okoye spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "Did we just stop an invasion with love? You stopped it by being human," Valthrine said quietly. "By caring more than any species I've ever encountered. By refusing to become monsters in the face of destruction." Dr. Chen was trembling, staring at the data on her pad, the energy readings. "Commander, that wave reached across half the galaxy. Every coalition world felt it. Everyone knows now. There's no hiding what we are." "No," Valthrine agreed. "There isn't. Your secret is out. The question now is what the rest of the galaxy does about it." General Wade stood, looking at the disabled Drakthon ships on the monitors. "We need to bring them in. Medical aid for their crews. They're not the enemy anymore. They're just people who made a mistake." "You would help them?" Valthrine asked, surprised. "After they came to destroy you?" "That's what humans do," Okoye said simply. "We fight when we have to, but we also forgive. We rebuild. We believe people can change." "Is that so strange?" "In the galaxy?" Valthrine's antennae twitched with something like amusement. "Yes, very strange, and perhaps exactly what the galaxy needs." As Earth began coordinating with the Coalition fleet to assist the surrendered Drakthon vessels, Valthrine received a new transmission. It was from Coalition High Command. The Council wanted an immediate report. He had a feeling this conversation was going to be difficult. The wave humanity had just created had reached across known space. Every Coalition world had felt it. Every species had experienced, even briefly, what it meant to feel like a human. And the galaxy would never be the same. Valthrine looked at the humans around him, these emotional, chaotic, impossible beings who had just stopped a war with nothing but their capacity to care. "Secretary General," he said, "I believe we have a great deal to discuss, and I believe the Coalition is going to need to reconsider everything it thinks it knows about power, about civilization, and about what it means to be truly advanced." Okoye smiled tiredly. "Welcome to humanity, Commander. We're still figuring that out ourselves." She paused, letting that sink in. "Commander Valthrine has shown us that when we feel together, when we share the same emotions, we create power. Real power. Power enough to shake the galaxy. Right now, I need everyone to do something difficult. I need you to feel. Not fear, not hate, but something stronger. Think about everyone you love. Your family, your friends, the stranger who smiled at you. The person who helped when you needed it. Think about what makes humanity beautiful. Our art, our music, our stories, our ability to hope even in darkness, our refusal to give up, our determination to protect each other." Above Earth, the Drakthon ships began their attack run. Weapons charged, targeting systems locked onto major population centers. "I'm a scientist," Dr. Chen continued, tears streaming down her face. "I deal in facts and data. But right now, I'm asking you to believe in something that sounds impossible. I'm asking you to believe that love is stronger than weapons, that hope can bend reality, that 7 billion humans caring about each other can create a miracle." Around the world, something extraordinary happened. In homes and streets, in shelters and offices, billions of humans stopped being afraid. They thought about what Dr. Chen had said. They thought about the people they loved, the planet they shared, the future they wanted for their children, and they felt it. All of them, together. The wave began as a ripple, then a pulse, then a tsunami of pure human emotion that dwarfed everything that had come before. Not fear or anger, but something more fundamental. The desperate, defiant love of a species that refused to die. The hope of people who had survived ice ages and world wars and plagues and had kept going, kept trying, kept caring. Valthrine watched in awe as the wave erupted from Earth. It was visible now, a shimmer in space itself, like reality was bending around the planet. The wave expanded outward at impossible speed, washing over the Drakthon ships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ships simply stopped. Their weapons powered down, their engines cut out. They hung in space, motionless. "What's happening?" General Wade demanded. Valthorine was checking his instruments, hardly believing what he saw. The wave. It's not destroying them. It's showing them. Every Drakthon on those ships is experiencing human emotions directly, feeling what 7 billion humans feel. The love, the hope, the connection. Inside the Drakthon ships, hardened warriors experienced something they had trained their entire lives to suppress. Emotion. But not just any emotion. Human emotion. The pure, undiluted feeling of a species that loved with their whole being. They felt a mother's love for her child, a friend's loyalty, a stranger's kindness, the desperate hope of people facing extinction who chose love over hate. It was overwhelming, beautiful, terrible. It cracked through their conditioning like light through darkness. One by one, the Drakthon ships powered down their weapons. Their commanders, tears streaming down their reptilian faces, broadcast surrender signals. They couldn't fight anymore. Not after feeling what they had felt. Not after understanding what humanity was. On Earth, the wave gradually subsided. 7 billion humans slowly came back to themselves, exhausted but alive. They had no idea what they had done. Most didn't even understand that they had done anything. They just knew they had felt something powerful, and they were still here. In the UN chamber, the assembled leaders sat in stunned silence. Finally, Okoye spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "Did we just stop an invasion with love? You stopped it by being human," Valthorine said quietly. "By caring more than any species I've ever encountered. By refusing to become monsters in the face of destruction." Dr. Chen was trembling, staring at the data on her pad, the energy readings. "Commander, that wave reached across half the galaxy. Every coalition world felt it. Everyone knows now. There's no hiding what we are." "No," Valthorine agreed. "There isn't. Your secret is out. The question now is what the rest of the galaxy does about it." General Wade stood, looking at the disabled Drakthon ships on the monitors. "We need to bring them in. Medical aid for their crews. They're not the enemy anymore. They're just people who made a mistake." "You would help them?" Valthorine asked, surprised. "After they came to destroy you?" "That's what humans do," Okoye said simply. "We fight when we have to, but we also forgive. We rebuild. We believe people can change." "Is that so strange?" "In the galaxy?" Valthorine's antennae twitched with something like amusement. "Yes, very strange, and perhaps exactly what the galaxy needs." As Earth began coordinating with the Coalition fleet to assist the surrendered Drakthon vessels, Valthorine received a new transmission. It was from Coalition High Command. The Council wanted an immediate report. He had a feeling this conversation was going to be difficult. The wave humanity had just created had reached across known space. Every Coalition world had felt it. Every species had experienced, even briefly, what it meant to feel like a human. And the galaxy would never be the same. Valthorine looked at the humans around him, these emotional, chaotic, impossible beings who had just stopped a war with nothing but their capacity to care. "Secretary General," he said, "I believe we have a great deal to discuss, and I believe the Coalition is going to need to reconsider everything it thinks it knows about power, about civilization, and about what it means to be truly advanced." Okoye smiled tiredly. "Welcome to humanity, Commander. We're still figuring that out ourselves." 3 weeks after the Drakthon incident, Valthorine stood before the full assembly of the Galactic Coalition Senate. The chamber was massive, designed to hold representatives from 346 member species. Today, every seat was filled. Every eye, sensor, and optical organ was fixed on him. Behind him, on a raised platform, stood the human delegation. Secretary General Okoye, General Wade, Dr. Sarah Chen, and 12 other representatives from Earth. They wore their finest formal attire, looking small and vulnerable among the alien beings that filled the chamber. The council speaker, Sulmak, raised his ceremonial staff. The chamber fell silent. "Commander Valthorine," Sulmak began, his ancient voice echoing through the hall, "you have submitted a recommendation that Earth be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Coalition. This is unprecedented. Never in our 10,000-year history have we offered membership to a pre-FTL civilization. You ask us to break our most sacred protocols. Explain yourself. Valthrine had prepared for this moment. Honored council, respected members of the Senate, I stand before you having witnessed something that changed my understanding of what power truly means. The humans possess an ability that dwarfs our most advanced technology. When they feel together, they can reshape reality itself. This makes them the most potentially dangerous species we have ever encountered. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Fear, anger, suspicion. But, Valthrine continued, they are also the most remarkable species I have encountered. When faced with extinction, they chose compassion over hatred. When given power, they used it to defend, not to conquer. The Drakthon came to destroy them, and the humans responded by showing them what it means to care. 12 Drakthon ships surrendered not because they were defeated, but because they were transformed. A Drakthon representative stood, his scales still bearing the marks of recent emotional trauma. Commander Valthrine speaks truth. I am Captain Corvex. I led the attack on Earth. I came to eliminate a threat. What I found instead was, he struggled for words. I experienced what humans call love. Pure, unconditional, overwhelming love. For the first time in my life, I felt what it means to care about someone beyond myself. The humans could have destroyed us. Instead, they healed us. They fed us. They treated our wounds and sent us home with forgiveness. Another species rose, the Kutar empath who had been aboard the Infinite Seeker. I must speak. When the human wave reached our homeworld, our entire population felt it. For centuries, we have been the galaxy's empaths, able to sense the emotions of others, but we have never felt anything like human emotion. It's vast, deep, overwhelming. Humans feel more in a moment than most species feel in a lifetime, and they live with this intensity every day. It should destroy them. Instead, it makes them stronger. Sulmak listened carefully. These testimonies are compelling, but they do not address the central question. Can humanity be trusted with such power? Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is a law as old as civilization itself. Then let us answer that, Okoye said, stepping forward. Her translator rendered her words into dozens of languages simultaneously. Honored Council, you say power corrupts. You're right. Human history is full of those who took power and used it to harm others. We've had tyrants, conquerors, and monsters. We've committed genocides. We've destroyed our own environment. We've created weapons that could end all life on our planet. The Senate listened, many nodding. This confirmed their fears. But Okoye continued, we also have another history. A history of people who fought against tyranny, who stood up for the weak, who sacrificed themselves for strangers. We created art that celebrates life, music that brings joy, stories that teach compassion. Yes, we're capable of terrible things, but we're also capable of beautiful things, and we're always trying to be better. Dr. Chen activated a holographic display. Let me show you something. This is human history over the past 5,000 years. A timeline appeared marked with countless events. Wars, disasters, atrocities, all highlighted in red. You see? We're violent, destructive, dangerous. Then she changed the display. New markers appeared in blue, far more numerous than the red ones. But look at this. These are moments of cooperation, of peace, of charity. For every war, there are 10 peace treaties. For every tyrant, there are 100 heroes who oppose them. For every weapon, there's a hospital, a school, a library. The good moments vastly outnumber the bad. The bad ones are just more dramatic, so they get remembered. A Morphean senator spoke up, her blue skin flickering thoughtfully. This is an interesting perspective, but it proves our point. You are inconsistent, unpredictable. Half of you want peace, the other half want war. How can we trust a species that can't agree with itself? General Wade answered this one. We can't even trust ourselves sometimes. That's why we created democracy, laws, and international courts. We know we're flawed. We know we make mistakes. So we built systems to check our worst impulses and encourage our best ones. We're not perfect. We never claim to be, but we're trying. And when you fail? A Venthari representative asked. When your systems break down? When your emotions overcome your reason? What then? Then we rebuild, Okoye said simply. We've been knocked down hundreds of times. We always get back up. That's what humans do. We endure, we adapt, we survive, and we try to do better next time. Sulmak studied the humans carefully. You speak with remarkable honesty. Most species petitioning for membership present only their strengths. You openly admit your weaknesses. Why? Because you're going to find out anyway, Dr. Chen said. You've been watching us for a century. You know exactly who we are. There's no point in lying. Besides, humans are terrible liars. Our emotions give us away. We can't hide what we feel. A small laugh rippled through the chamber. Several species appreciated the honesty, but not everyone was convinced. A delegation from the hierarchical union stood, a group of species that believed in rigid order and control. Their spokesman, a tall being with crystalline features, addressed the chamber. This emotional instability is precisely why humans are dangerous. They react without thinking. They feel before they reason. They are children playing with nuclear fire. We propose an alternative to membership. Quarantine. Isolate Earth with an impenetrable barrier. Let humans develop in their own system until they evolve past these dangerous emotional excesses. In 10,000 years, perhaps they'll be ready. Several species voiced agreement. The idea of locking humanity away safely contained appealed to many. No, a new voice said. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. It was a Keprian scientist, Zixtal, who had served aboard the Infinite Seeker. She stood, her multiple arms gesturing emphatically. I have studied humans for weeks now. I have analyzed their biology, their psychology, their culture, and I have concluded something important. Humans will never lose their emotions. It's not a phase they'll grow out of. It's fundamental to who they are. Trying to wait for humans to become less emotional is like waiting for the stars to stop burning. It's their nature. She activated her own display, showing human brain structures. But here's what we're missing. Human emotions aren't a flaw. They're a feature. Their empathy allows them to cooperate on massive scales. Their love gives them something to fight for. Their hope lets them endure impossible hardships. Their anger at injustice drives them to create change. Remove their emotions and you don't have humans anymore. You have something else. Something less. Less powerful, you mean? The hierarchical spokesman said. Which would make them safe. Less alive, Zixtal corrected. And I don't think the galaxy needs more safe, logical species. We have plenty of those. What we need is something different. Something that reminds us why we explore the stars in the first place. Not for conquest or efficiency, but for wonder. For connection. For meaning. Solmak raised his staff again. These are profound questions. We will now hear from other testimonies before proceeding to vote. For the next 3 hours, species after species rose to speak. Some defended humanity. Others condemned them. The debate raged across philosophical, practical, and ethical grounds. The turning point came from an unexpected source. The oldest member of the Senate, a being so ancient that most didn't know her species' name, rose to speak. She rarely participated in debates, communicating through translators and appearing only holographically. I have lived for 3,000 years, she said, her voice like wind through canyons. I have seen civilizations rise and fall. I have watched species conquer the stars and collapse into dust. And I have learned one truth. The species that survive are not the strongest or the smartest. They are the ones who remember why life is worth living. She turned her ancient gaze toward the human delegation. Look at them. They are young, foolish, emotional, and weak by our standards. But they remember something we have forgotten. They remember how to feel joy in simple things. They create art not for profit, but for beauty. They help strangers because it feels right. They cry at stories and laugh at absurdities. They are alive in a way we have not been for millennia. The chamber was absolutely silent. The question before us is not whether humans are perfect, the Ancient One continued. It is whether we want to live in a galaxy that has forgotten how to care. I vote for membership. Let them teach us what we have lost. Sulmak looked shaken. A being of her age and wisdom carried tremendous weight. The political calculations in the chamber shifted immediately. But before the vote could be called, alarms blared. Emergency broadcasts interrupted the proceedings. A fleet was approaching. Not just any fleet, but a massive armada. The militant faction of the coalition, led by hardline species who refused to accept human membership, had assembled in secret. 30 warships, enough to glass entire planets, and they were on a direct course for Earth. The chamber erupted in chaos. Accusations flew. Some claimed conspiracy. Others demanded immediate military response. The carefully organized debate dissolved into shouting matches. General Wade was already on his communicator, coordinating with Earth's defense forces. But everyone knew the truth. 30 warships would overwhelm any defense. The fleet could destroy Earth's major cities before help could arrive. Okoye turned to Valthrine. How long do we have? They're using military-grade FTL drives, he calculated quickly. They'll reach Earth in 6 hours. Maybe 7. Then we need to get back, Dr. Chen said urgently. We need to warn everyone. Prepare them. Prepare them for what? Wade asked grimly. There's no defense against this. Even if every coalition ship here jumps to Earth's defense, we'll be outnumbered. Sulmak struck his staff repeatedly, finally restoring some order. This is an illegal action. The militant faction has no authority to attack Earth. I order all coalition forces to intercept and stop them. With respect, Council Speaker, a military officer reported, our forces are scattered across the galaxy. We can't assemble a defensive fleet in time. By the time we reach Earth, it will be over. The Ancient One spoke again, her voice cutting through the panic. Then perhaps it is time to send a message. Not to the militants, to Earth. Let the humans know they are not alone. Let them know that if they stand, we stand with them. Okoye looked at Valthrine. Can you do that? Can you broadcast to Earth from here? Yes, but what good will it do? The humans can't stop this fleet. Maybe not, Okoye said. But if there's one thing humans are good at, it's surprising people when they're told something is impossible. The broadcast was prepared and sent on all frequencies. It reached Earth just as the sun was rising over the Americas. Every screen, every device showed the same message. People of Earth, this is the Galactic Coalition. A hostile fleet is approaching your world. They come to destroy you before you can join us. We cannot stop them in time. We are sorry. But know this, you are not alone. Hundreds of species across the galaxy stand with you. If you fall as one of us. And then, at Dr. Chen's insistence, they added one more line. Show them who you are. Show them what it means to be human. On Earth, 7 billion people received the message. They had 6 hours before the end of everything. The question was, what would they do with that time? The message reached Earth at dawn on the east coast of Africa, noon in Asia, night in the Americas. Within minutes, it spread across every communication network humanity had built. Social media exploded. News channels interrupted regular programming. Governments scrambled to respond. But for once, official channels weren't the ones that mattered. The people were. On the Infinite Seeker, now racing toward Earth at maximum speed, Valthrine monitored the planet's communications with growing amazement. He had expected panic, riots, the collapse of social order in the face of annihilation. Instead, he saw something entirely different. Commander, look at this, Zixtal said, pulling up social media feeds from around the planet. The humans are organizing. Messages were spreading across the globe in dozens of languages, but the meaning was the same. We have 6 hours. Don't waste them on fear. Tell the people you love that you love them. Forgive old grudges. Share your favorite memories. Let's show these aliens what humanity really is. And incredibly, that's exactly what humans started doing. In Tokyo, a man called his estranged father and said the words he'd held back for 20 years. In Lagos, neighbors who had feuded for decades embraced and apologized. In São Paulo, strangers gathered in the streets to sing together. In New York, a teacher held an impromptu class and told her students all the reasons she believed in their future. Across Earth, millions of small acts of connection, forgiveness, and love. Dr. Chen, watching from the Coalition Senate chamber, felt tears streaming down her face. They're doing it. They're choosing how they want to spend their last hours, and they're choosing each other. It won't stop the fleet, General Wade said quietly, though his own eyes were wet. But I've never been more proud to be human. On Earth, social media posts continued to flood in. To everyone who ever showed me kindness, thank you. You made my life worth living. I forgive you, Mom. I forgive myself. I love you. If aliens are watching this, I want you to know humans aren't perfect. But we try. We love, we hope, and that's enough. Okoye watched the messages scroll by and made a decision. She stood before the assembled Senate. Council Speaker, I request permission to address Earth one final time. Solmak nodded gravely. Granted, the broadcast went live. Okoye's face appeared on every screen on Earth. She looked tired, scared, but determined. People of Earth, she began. In 6 hours, a fleet will arrive to destroy us. They're afraid of what we are, what we might become. They see our emotions as a threat. Our capacity to feel as a weakness. Maybe they're right. Maybe caring too much is dangerous. Maybe hope in the face of extinction is foolish. She paused, looking directly into the camera. But I wouldn't change it for anything. Because in the last few hours, I've watched our species do something beautiful. Instead of panicking, you loved each other. Instead of giving in to hate, you chose forgiveness. You proved that even facing death, humanity chooses hope. Her voice strengthened. Dr. Chen told you to show them who we are. I'm not asking you to fight. I'm not asking you to be afraid. I'm asking you to be exactly what you've been for the last 6 hours. Be human, feel everything, love everyone, and know that whatever happens, we face it together. The broadcast ended. Earth continued its rotation. The fleet continued its approach. And humanity continued to be human. In restaurants, people cooked and shared their favorite meals. In homes, families told stories and laughed and cried. Musicians played concerts in the streets. Artists painted murals celebrating life. Parents held their children and promised them they were brave. Strangers became friends in the hours they had left, and slowly, inevitably, an emotion began to build. Not fear, not anger, something more complex. The bittersweet love of life in the face of its ending. The gratitude for every moment, every connection, every small joy they'd ever experienced. The desperate, defiant hope that maybe somehow love was enough. 7 billion humans all feeling the same thing. The wave began to build. On the Infinite Seeker, every alarm shrieked at once. The empaths collapsed. Regular crew members grabbed their heads, overwhelmed. Falthrine stared at the energy readings in disbelief. That's impossible, he whispered. That's 10 times stronger than anything they've generated before. They're not afraid, Zixtal said, her voice filled with awe. They know they're going to die and they're not afraid. They're grateful. They're loving. They're saying goodbye to everything they've ever loved, and they're doing it with joy. The wave built and built, growing stronger with each passing minute. It wasn't violent. It wasn't aggressive. It was pure human emotion in its rawest form. The love of life, the sorrow of loss, the gratitude for having lived it all, and the hope that maybe their existence had meant something. The militant fleet dropped out of hyperspace on schedule. 30 massive warships, bristling with weapons designed to crack planets. Their commander, a being called Zarthek, immediately began targeting Earth's major cities. All ships prepare to fire on my mark, he commanded. We end this threat before it grows stronger. In the name of order and safety, we do what must be done. But as they closed in on Earth, they hit the wave. It washed over the fleet like a tsunami of pure emotion. Suddenly, 30,000 hardened warriors experienced what 7 billion humans were feeling. The love of parents for children, the joy of friendships, the beauty of a sunset, the comfort of home, the hope for tomorrow, the gratitude for having lived, all of it at once, undiluted and overwhelming. And underneath it all, one simple message that echoed through every mind on every ship. We forgive you. We understand you're afraid. We're afraid too, but we don't hate you for it. We never could. On the command ship, Zarthek fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He saw flashes of human memories, not his own, but feeling real nonetheless. A mother holding her newborn for the first time, a child's laughter at something silly, an old couple holding hands after 60 years together, a stranger helping someone who fell. The millions of small moments of kindness and connection that made up human existence. He had come to destroy these beings, and they were showing him love. I can't, he gasped. I can't do this. Across the fleet, the same realization rippled through every crew member. They had been taught that emotions were weakness, that compassion was inefficiency, that the proper response to fear was elimination. But the humans were teaching them something different. The humans were showing them that love wasn't weakness, it was the strongest thing in the universe. Strong enough to face death with grace, strong enough to forgive those who came to kill them, strong enough to say we understand to those who understood nothing. One by one, the warships powered down their weapons. Their commanders sat in stunned silence, processing emotions they had spent lifetimes suppressing. They had come as executioners. The humans had turned them into students. On the Coalition Senate floor, monitoring stations showed the fleet stopping its attack. The chamber erupted in chaos, shock, relief, confusion. Solomak struck his staff again and again, trying to restore order. What happened? Someone shouted. Why did they stop? Dr. Chen was staring at her datapad, reading the energy signatures. They felt it. All of them. The humans showed them what it means to love so deeply that you'd rather die with grace than live with hate. But the fleet could still attack, a paranoid voice argued. Their weapons are still operational. As if in answer, a new transmission came from Zarthek's command ship. The militant commander appeared on screen, his face wet with tears, his expression one of absolute defeat and profound understanding. "Coalition Senate," he said, his voice breaking. "I came to Earth to eliminate a threat. What I found instead was... I have no words. The humans faced extinction with love. They forgave us even as we came to kill them. They showed us emotions we've spent our lives denying. I cannot destroy them. I will not. If this is what it means to be dangerous, then I hope the entire galaxy becomes this dangerous." He paused, gathering himself. "I formally surrender my fleet to Earth's authority. We await judgment for our attempted crime. We deserve punishment, but I hope we receive the same grace the humans have shown us." The transmission ended. The chamber fell silent. Then slowly Sulmak began to laugh, a sound of pure astonishment. "3 times now! 3 times humanity has been attacked, and 3 times they have won not by fighting, but by feeling. They are either the wisest species in the galaxy or the luckiest." "I don't think it's luck," Okoye said quietly. "I think it's just who we are. We're too empathetic to hate effectively, too hopeful to give up, too stubborn to stop caring. It's not always an advantage. But today it was enough." Sulmak looked around the chamber. "I believe a vote is in order. All in favor of granting Earth provisional membership in the Galactic Coalition?" The vote wasn't even close. 340 species voted in favor. 6 abstained. None voted against. "Then it is decided," Sulmak announced. "Earth is hereby welcomed as the 347th member of the Galactic Coalition. May they teach us what we have forgotten." The chamber erupted in applause, a human gesture that many species had adopted for this occasion. The human delegation embraced each other, crying and laughing at once. On Earth, the news spread rapidly. The threat was gone. They were safe. And they were no longer alone in the universe. The celebrations that followed were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 7 billion humans experiencing pure joy simultaneously. The resulting wave was felt across half the galaxy. Several coalition worlds later reported that for a brief moment, they felt happy for no reason at all, and only afterward realized it was humanity's joy echoing across space. 10 years later, Earth had transformed in ways both expected and surprising. Human ships now traveled the stars using coalition technology. Human scientists collaborated with alien researchers on problems that had stumped the galaxy for millennia. Human artists created works that moved beings who had forgotten they could cry. But more importantly, humanity had become something unexpected. The galaxy's counselors and peacekeepers. Their natural empathy and emotional intelligence made them perfect mediators in conflicts. Their determination made them ideal for difficult negotiations. Their hope made them excellent at reconciliation work. The human effect became a known phenomenon. When humans cared about something collectively, reality listened. This was used carefully. Earth's governments had established strict protocols about collective emotional events. They had learned that with great power came great responsibility. The Drakthon who had first attacked Earth became humanity's strongest allies, their people forever changed by their experience of human emotion. The militants who had come in the final fleet became advocates for emotional education, helping other species rediscover their capacity to feel. Valthrine, now promoted to Coalition Ambassador, stood on an observation deck overlooking Earth. Beside him stood Dr. Chen, who had become humanity's chief liaison to the Coalition. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Coming to Earth that first time? Your life would be simpler if you just filed a report and moved on." Valtharine's antennae twitched in amusement. "Simpler, yes, but infinitely less interesting. You humans have turned the galaxy upside down. Half the Coalition is relearning emotions because of you. We're having philosophical debates about the nature of consciousness and feeling. It's chaos. Sorry?" Chen said, not sounding sorry at all. "Don't be. It's the best kind of chaos. The kind that leads to growth." He looked at Earth, at the blue and green planet that had changed everything. "I've been thinking about that first day, when you detected the impossible energy signature. Do you know what I thought it was?" "A weapon." "A dying star," Valthrine admitted. "I thought we were detecting the death throes of some cosmic phenomenon. In a way, I was right. It was death, the death of the galaxy's old ways. The death of the idea that logic and emotion can't coexist. the death of the belief that caring is weakness. Below them, Earth continued its eternal rotation. Cities glowed in the darkness. Oceans reflected starlight. 7 billion humans lived their lives, loving and hoping and occasionally generating waves that rippled across reality itself. "What do you think happens next?" Chen asked. "I don't know," Valthrine said honestly. "But for the first time in my life, I'm excited to find out. You humans have taught us something important. The future doesn't have to be predictable to be wonderful." A young girl walked up to them. Human and Keprian children played together now. In the first truly integrated school in the galaxy, the human child was holding hands with a small alien, and they were laughing about something only they understood. Their joy created tiny sparkles in the air around them, visible proof that happiness itself was a force in the universe. The children ran off and Chen smiled. "You know what the secret is? Why humans can do what we do? Tell me. We never forgot that we're all just people. Doesn't matter if you have 2 legs or 6. If you breathe oxygen or methane, if you're from Earth or a planet 1,000 light years away, we're all just trying to survive, trying to be happy, trying to make sense of this strange universe. And that's scary, so we need each other. That's all it is. We care because we understand what it's like to need someone to care about us." Valthrine considered this. "That's surprisingly profound." "Don't tell anyone," Chen said with a grin. "We humans have a reputation for being emotional, not philosophical. Let's keep them guessing." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the Earth turn, watching the stars shine, watching the future unfold in ways nobody could predict. Somewhere in the galaxy, on a coalition world, an empath felt a wave of contentment wash over them. They looked up at the stars, smiled, and thought, "Those humans are at it again." And they were right. Humanity was being human, feeling deeply, caring completely, hoping endlessly. They were showing the galaxy that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't technology, or military might, or even psychic ability. It was the simple, impossible, beautiful act of giving a damn. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly how it should be. They called it impossible. We called it being human.